Hello there, Apple Bites. This is your Apple Bite, Rafael Tavares, talking to you straight from Apple Bites, where we take a bite out of things and share it with you and let you know how it tastes like. Because, sometimes in order for you guys to get out there and get going, you might want to know how things taste, right, Izzy?
You got it, man. What's going on?
Oh, it's been a blast of a day with this beautiful heat here in New York.
Well, did you see how it's been raining today, man?
Forget the rain. You saw those clouds?
The clouds is nothing, man.
It was like doomsday coming in, rolling right in.
Yeah, I live in the ninth floor. So when you see the rain, it's just pounding on the windows, right? So it was just insane looking at it this morning. I was just happy that I was working from home. I was like, yes, I'm working from home today. So very fortunate for that one. So
Nathan, our friend, is on the side today. There he is, right as wild. Man, I miss Ralpha. Hey, you're missed too. And she's my favorite apple. He's had his sweaty stance. There you have it. That's on the side. Izzy is in with the duties of hosting with yours truly.
Yeah, man. So for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Izzy L. I'm the host of the Izzyverse channel over at YouTube, and we do a lot of comics. We do wrestling. We're gonna be doing cosplay pretty soon. I got a cosplay show coming up. And you can always catch me in the Izzyverse. It's really simple to find. It says Izzyverse. You see that logo, and you see a bright smile on your face, like this. I'm always smiling. We got some great stuff coming along pretty soon. I'm really excited for it. And again, like I said, if you go to a nearby convention in the New York City area, chances are you probably catch me there. I'll definitely be in one this weekend. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later, though.
Dude, yeah, we always have fun at those conventions. Always a blast to go check it out, especially when we get to hang out with Kate Fox and the Nerds in the Bar and Phil Russard and, of course, Izzy over here on the side as we all do our thing and cover the conventions so that you guys can see how much fun these things are and go check them out yourselves.
Oh, yeah, we had a great panel, which is online. Unfortunately, it's not on my channel. It's if you go to because none of us, all these YouTubers, we did a panel talking about YouTubers, and not a single one of us was recording it for YouTube. How smart of the guys we are! But it ended up online. It's on Instagram. Go check out Wild Godine.
Yeah,
Godine, like a school dean. Go check it out, and he actually has the posting of the full panel, complete with Izzy Twerk. That's right.
I think he did a much better job than we would have done covering it.
Oh yeah, he did some clips for me, so he made it all over the world, man. So you got some imagery of me twerking, which I don't think some people are happy about.
Talking of segues, it is a perfect segue to bring in our friend Naseed Gifted because he is the showrunner for ChemFest, which we love here at the Bitten Apple because we try to take and go there every year and have fun because this is a unique type of a convention and he brings a unique type of energy with himself. Hey, Naseed, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you? How are you guys doing this evening, man? Peace and blessings to all of you.
Well, you're the one that deserves the bigger blessings because it's your birthday. So, welcome aboard. Happy birthday.
Oh, man. Thank you, man.
And it's so funny, too.
Make it another year around the sun, man. Another year around the sun.
There you go.
Funny because Leslie, our other Apple Bite, today's her birthday.
Oh, wow. I didn't.
Yeah.
You know what? That's why me and Leslie connect like that. Didn't even know. We're birthday twins.
Leslie's doing her sabbatical or wherever she is right now, having fun.
She's enjoying her birthday. That's what she's doing.
Exactly. Shen adds on to happy birthday. There you go.
Oh no, thank you.
So, Naseed, I know you're working on something, all with the whole ChemFest thing. I want you to let us know because I got the video here, but I want you to talk a little bit about it. This way, people can know what we're looking at.
So we have something very unique going on this year with ChemFest. So ChemFest, if many of you don't know, is a celebration of Black animation, game creators, and comic book creators. But this year we're working on one aspect of it is where we're bringing Wakanda to Newark. We're looking to bring Wakanda to Newark. And with that, we have this Kickstarter called Bringing Wakanda to Newark, where we're actually we have a strong Afrofuturism focus where we're focusing on 4 aspects of Afrofuturism: Afrofuturism art, Afrofuturism fashion, Afrofuturism architecture, and Afrofuturism technology. So those are the aspects that we're bringing into KimFest. And now we actually just opened a 12,000 square foot Afrofuturism art and tech gallery called The Future is Black, where we are featuring Afrofuturist artists throughout the space, and just celebrating the greatness in animation, game design, as well as in comic book creation.
Looks like you're doing pretty decent here. You're at 6,833, 43 backers, 23 days to still go for this. So guys, help them out. They're trying to get to 10,000. And of course, like I always say, when you're working with Kickstarters and Indiegogos, you want to get them as much money as possible. So
It's all another platform, man.
Exactly. They can accomplish what they need to accomplish.
Yeah, man. I agree. First and foremost, congratulations, happy birthday, much deserved.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're long. We're not going to share your age, but you're the same age as I am now, for a few months at least. But I went ahead this afternoon when Ralph sent me the link. I went ahead and I put some money down as well.
Oh wow, thank you, man. We definitely appreciate the support.
Because I do believe that we do need more of these things, especially when it comes to cultural, right? When it comes to the cultural fest, when it comes to Black creators and things like that, it's so important that we get the communities involved in any way we can. So the fact that you're doing a show over in Newark, not Newark.
Newark like Fork.
Newark, right?
Newark. One syllable, even though
right? Newark
is Newark like Fork.
Exactly. So when you're doing something in Newark, New Jersey, which is, I remember going to Newark back in the day, and I'm a kid from the Bronx, and I remember going to Newark like, oh man, I gotta watch myself around here, and I'm from the Bronx, right? But in all fairness, it is so good that you guys are doing it. So absolutely, man. I want to know when it's happening. When is this planned event?
Oh, so the event is happening September 23rd through the 25th. We actually have a 3-day festival this year, starting off with our Animation Film Festival award ceremony, and then of course we have our traditional KimFest and Kim Animation Film Festival, which is KAFF. I mean, the main focus with all of this is being able to connect the now generation with the next generation of innovators and creators. And because you're passionate about animation, gaming, as well as comic book creation, we want to introduce all of those different STEM careers that are opportunities out there that the Black and brown communities don't have an opportunity to be a part of. So we want to be able to expose as well as train up that next generation to be able to fulfill those opportunities that's out there.
That's the way to do it. Yeah, we that's what we got to do.
Yeah.
We gotta that's the other thing that's important. We can talk more to Victor when he comes on, is that we're looking at the future of this business, and I feel like a lot of us have fallen to keep this business going, to keep all these things going forward, because the community has turned into this thing for mostly for adults. The entryway for getting kids involved in all this stuff has gotten to a point where is barely not there anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the barriers are lower than, of course, like when we were younger and coming up.
Definitely.
If you wanted to do animation, you can do it on a lower level, but you can actually do it now. Like you don't have to have this high power computer. You can actually do some stuff on your iPad. I mean, it's not going to be at the feature film level that most people will look at as far as quality, but you can still do some projects and build a portfolio and do all of those different things. Even with game design and everything. They have some entry platforms that are, free, because the main thing with all of this is being able to have that entry. Creating those entry levels for them to be able to have access to the technology. And, nowadays you have more and more access to this level of technology.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
You have You have Adobe programs, so Adobe, what used to be Adobe Flash, now Adobe Animate.
Yep.
It's easily accessible. You got Blender, which is free. So there are tools out there. Yeah, you like you said, you don't need a lot to make it happen.
Not
Right?
anymore,
You need creativity. You need
Yep.
the ability to be patient, right? Because I have my share of doing a little animated short, and it took a long time for me to do it. But you need to have that patience. You need to have that drive, that passion, and first of all, you have to have a story, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So you
Always,
have to. It
always,
doesn't have to be. It doesn't
always.
have to be an intact story because we all grew up in the '90s and we read some of those stories
Yep.
and we know they weren't so great. But absolutely, so it sounds. I'm excited for it, man. Just the fact that I heard about it, I was like, oh, this sounds so cool. So I'm definitely looking forward to it.
It's a great convention. We really enjoy it every time we go. And we find different things, new things, and it really feels like we're there as part of the community. I think that's one of the best things about ChemFest is you can feel the community in the fest itself.
Yep. I mean, and then even when with the inception of ChemFest, one of the things that we had to do, we had to educate the community on what a Comic Con was. Most individuals in the community don't know or had never been to a Comic Con, but they're consumers of the fandom aspect of it. So just to being able to have access to this is something that we wanted to provide for for the greater Newark community at large.
Exactly. So let's bring up your video here,
Okay.
and you can tell us again what you told us now, but with more flair.
Oh yeah. I'll definitely do that.
Here we go.
Peace, everybody. My name is Naseed Gifted, founder of ChemFest. We're excited to have our 8th annual ChemFest happening this September 23rd through the 25th in the prestigious Hain & Co. in Newark, New Jersey. Our festival is called Kim, which means black or blackness. The word is derived from ancient Egyptian times, as the area was known as Kemet, which means black land. Stories were written on the walls of Kemet in hieroglyphics thousands of years before modern comics were printed. The original hieroglyphic is a stylized picture of an object representing a word, syllable, and sound. ChemFest is an annual festival in celebration of Black animation, gaming, and comic book creators. The goal of the festival is to use comic books, animation, games, and popular cultural arts to develop youth literacy and expressing through STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. We have created this festival that will feature and promote creators of comics, animation, games, and other media with a focus on Black culture, concepts, and interests. Our festival has always been a diverse networking opportunity for professionals and enthusiasts to inspire, cultivate, and honor Black creators and their contributions as it relates to popular arts and media. Our festival highlights other literary genres like speculative fiction, game development, 3D printing, animated films, and all other related media. So why Kickstarter? Kickstarter is going to give us an opportunity to build our Animation Film Festival, our award show, and then, of course, our STEAM lab, which is going to include 3D printing, slime making, and robotics. And then we have our The Future is Black Art and Tech Gallery, where we're going to be building technology, AR and VR games and exhibits to be hosted and be used by all individuals. We're excited about the next couple of months, but we want everyone to be a part of everything that we're looking to do to develop that next generation of technical entrepreneurs. So your support through Kickstarter would definitely be well appreciated, as we have some excellent rewards for you to be a part of this journey with us. We have a founders wall, we have a number of prints and other opportunities for you to get involved, and then we're also looking to do a number of activities throughout the summer in order to engage our young people to be those next generation of techno entrepreneurs. So we thank you. We're looking forward to you being a part of this journey. And once again, take care of yourself. Peace. So I don't know on your end was it buffering, but I know it was buffering on my end.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I usually have the phone out, because it's two different things. What we see and what the phone is saying, and I'm like, okay.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't 100% sure. But yeah, that's the 12,000 square feet of
It's beautiful,
space,
man. Woof.
of space that
Yeah, it
we're
does.
building out, man. That we have a number of exhibits that we are that we have in there. We have like 10 plus Afrofuturism or Afrofuturist artists that we have currently. And we're just constantly building. We have a video game lounge. We have our STEAM labs that we're building out.
Nice.
And part of the summer, and the great thing that we have the space until the end of October. So we are doing a number of STEAM and STEM activities throughout the summer, for the youth, as well as hosting a number of events like the Future is Black fashion show. We're actually going to have a Wakanda and Newark ball August 20th. So
Nice.
we're going to have that. So if you want to come experience Wakanda in Newark, please come out to the Wakanda and Newark ball. And this is all tied into our Kickstarter. So the $10,000 that we're looking to raise is just the baseline, but we're looking to do so much more. We want to teach our young people game design as well as animation, and we're looking to purchase the equipment to be able to do all of that throughout the year. So that is a part of this platform, this Kickstarter that we're looking to do.
And this helps with all of that, and that's a lot to be helped with.
Yeah,
and I feel like your asking price, your funding price, is at the low end for all that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. But like we got a $200,000 budget that we are trying to build out to. Of course, we're going to do it in phases, but we have it all laid out, to be able to do all of these different programs for young people as well as adults. So.
Yeah, so like with most Comic Cons that you go to, the object of the Comic Con is for people to sell items, to make
Yep.
money and things like that. Yours is a little different, where I'm sure you're going to have your share of vendors and people that are going to be selling product, but it's really based off of giving back to your community. So you're taking people's money so you could put it pretty much in the hands of those that are in need, and building the next generation of Comic Con enthusiasts, right?
Yep. That's correct.
So that's something that's very different from your typical Comic Con, but it's something that's very admirable. So, like I said, man, I'm totally for it.
No, man. Thank you. We definitely appreciate it. I mean, and that's a part of that community focus that Ralph was talking about earlier, because like we try to have this family feel with everything. Like everyone is accessible. Like all of the guests are right in front of you. Like we don't put them on these big stages where you can't get to them. Like they right there, right there live. We do have one guest that we're working on that you may not have access to like that, but a large majority of those guests are, after they do their talks, you can actually, sit there and talk to them and build with them and understand, their journey, because that's a part of this, is understanding the journey, and especially for exposing, young people as well as adults, how to be able to transfer your passion into a career path, or your passion into a business, and shaping those things. That's kind of like the building grounds that we're trying to build with the training grounds that we're building at KimFest.
all important, and that's why I wanted to bring you on to like give us a preview. We'll have you again on in about 2 weeks, and you can like near the end of the thing, so we can actually see how you're doing. If you're not there, help you get there, and if you're there, help you get more.
Oh yeah, no, thank you, definitely appreciate it, man. Definitely appreciate it. I mean, it's about the creators, man. It's about the creators and
exactly, man.
Furthering their projects and everything. So I definitely appreciate that.
And speaking of that, our guest Victor is actually on both ends of the spectrum. He's a creator, and he helps the community as well. Because he does know how to handle himself on the stage at these conventions.
A little bit. Fellas, hello. Thank you guys for having me. Naseed, I had to jump in on the Kickstarter myself just now, so I hope you don't mind. I had to put in on that one.
Oh man.
Dude, no, this is a great event.
That's all I'm gonna say, man.
I gotta know, is there a place for a vendor like myself or somebody that does workshops to help kids make comics? Because I would love to be a part of that.
Yes.
Beautiful.
So we'll definitely talk offline. Yes, we definitely have a space for that.
Okay. We'll break bread this weekend. We'll talk.
Okay.
Break bread while we're in New York, right?
Listen, I really love the fact that we talked about this before, and I know you have your program where you have the comic creation, that's tiered towards kids, and that's what I was saying earlier. We're kind of missing out on this generation because they're so busy paying attention to us old fogies who are going to be gone in a bit. Instead of going, dude, kids, come enjoy comics.
Y'all can do this. No, that's the way it should be. And Naseed, I love that you're building a space. I love that you were talking about having to teach people that are peripherally a part of this culture that they can actively be a part of the culture. Because too often, in the sense of blurredom, we don't know that we're allowed to do this. And there's something very, very visceral and necessary about what you're putting together. So I thoroughly appreciate that.
No, I mean, and it's so powerful that you don't know it's so many of us out there that are interested in this until you get to a Comic-Con or something like that. And I do talks at schools, I do talks at rehabilitation programs and stuff. And the sense in the hood is that like they're interested, they love this type of stuff.
Of course.
But they can't openly express that they do embrace this type of this genre. Because the hood doesn't embrace them, because they're interested in this. So just trying to bring all of that stuff out. These kids love anime, they love gaming, they love all of this stuff.
Of course.
All of this stuff is from a fandom aspect, and we try to transition them to something else.
And I know here locally where I'm at, we have places like Bronx Start, which I'm giving them a shout out here, who are openly saying, hey, come to our facility, use our computers. We have this program, we have that program. You can learn from it. You know how much it's going to cost you? Nothing. And that's what it should be, because a lot of these underprivileged kids, right? I grew up as one of them myself, We didn't get cable until the 90s, guys. So
that's real.
You got cable in the 90s?
Well, I got cable in the 90s. I thought cable came out in the 90s. I had rabbit ear antennas.
Everybody was talking about I want my MTV. It's like, I don't even know what MTV looks like. And you know what I mean? So, but what was great about it is that, now that we have this opportunity, we have these platforms that are at our disposal, that, you could teach kids how to do things like using animated program. They don't have to go to college just yet. They could start now. They could start learning how to do these things, because again, first of all, it's always here, right? But then you got to do the work here, right? And just like all of us at one point or another, we all had to find ways to teach ourselves how to do certain things, right? But now we have a platform where we don't want them to go through what we had to go through. So what we had to go through was, grinding, hustling, figuring out ways of doing it. And now it's just accessible to them, and we can show them how to do it. And let's be honest, they're very grateful when they do get that opportunity.
Yeah,
of course. No, to piggyback on Naseed's background music in the video, Hove did that, so hopefully you wouldn't have to go through that. The whole idea that we as a generation have experienced something, it is our job, our responsibility because we have this power to teach younger generations how easier they can, acclimate to this. That's if we're not doing that, then we're the gatekeepers. We're the problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I love that this is in the ether, that this is something that's existing. And I'm very proud of you for putting this together. That's amazing.
No, man, thank you. But you are the guest of the evening, so I want to know.
I'm sorry.
All about you.
It's a love fest, baby.
It's a segue,
right? For the little ones, man.
That was a perfect segue, though, because you're talking about the fact that it's easier now to get these things done, and Kickstarter has made it even easier to try to accomplish these goals of getting these books that when we were younger, you had to get yourself into Marvel, DC, and then later on Image, and that was still like a long shot. Now it's so much easier to it's not completely easy. You got to put some work into it, but it's so much easier to get what we want out there.
Right. Absolutely true. Yes, this is my series. WonderCare presents the KinderGuardians that I've co-created with Justin Castaneda. It's a brilliant, fun piece. It's Muppet Babies meets the Justice League. So it's very kid friendly. It's like a Saturday morning cartoon, but in comic book form. And we launched this series in 2014 to some decent fanfare. I mean, in only our second issue, we actually had a mid-tier publisher try to scoop us up. And because the numbers weren't right, I was like, nah, we're not doing it. But, with just the second issue, we literally came in and kind of made some noise. This is a project that is specifically geared towards kids. And that's not something that we're seeing a lot these days. Like we've been talking about, like a lot of times, it's, I want to make the next Dark Knight Returns, or I want to make the next Watchmen. Let's get to where the kids are. You know what I mean? Like let's create product that speaks to them with what they're doing. And the thing that always cracks me up, of course, is when we hear how all these other offshoot mediums, whether that's manga, whether that's YA books, are outselling us. And I'm like, it's because they're catering to this market so very perfectly. I know people that in the business, they hate on Dogman. They hate on Captain Underpants. I'm like, why?
I don't know.
That's the model right there.
My daughter loved those books.
Oh yeah, same here. I had to watch those cartoons. I had to watch the cartoon, right?
Absolutely. So with KinderGuardians, what we're looking at is they're sons and daughters of the world's greatest superheroes, and they're going to a specialized school for gifted youngsters, learning how to become the heroes of tomorrow. And they're going to have their own very kid-like misadventures along the way. And it's a beautiful, just as a series, it's something that I wish I had growing up. And that's the thing. It's like remembering what I didn't have and putting that out into the universe for someone else. Yeah. So yeah, that's the KinderGuardians, man. Loved that book.
Dude, man, as soon as I saw this come up, I was like, okay, cool. We gotta get him on. We gotta have him talk about this stuff. And you're right. I feel like they're missing out, and then getting upset at these guys at Dogman because he's doing what he's doing, but he's right. filling that gap that nobody else is filling.
Right.
Yeah, and to the same extent, a lot of people are talking about mainstream comics, in particular, not being accessible. Mm-hmm. And a lot of adult people are reading it. They say, why these kids are not reading? And they're gravitating to more manga-based comics. Mm-hmm. It's because it's bringing back that inner childhood environment. And let's be honest, could a kid afford a $5 comic book
every month? No.
I go to a comic book shop. I spend like $50 in like 10 books.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're lucky.
If I'm lucky, yeah. If it's not the special edition, gatefoil variant of what, but but the reality of it is that when it comes to mainstream in particular, they're making it more and more difficult for younger readers to read it. Again, because they're talking about adult topics a lot of times, right? It's like everybody loves Deadpool, everybody loves Harley Quinn, but you're not going to give them to a 5-year-old. I'm sorry.
No.
And if you do, something's wrong with you.
You're a bad person. Well, no, and it's interesting too, because one of the things that we've explored over the years is having the idea of having adult themes, but told to children. So like in 2020, we did a special edition feature called What Matters. And it's a commentary on the Black Lives Matter movement. It's a commentary on police brutality, but told through the lens of children. And releasing that into the world, I actually had, and this was like the best compliment. I had white parents reaching out to us going, I needed this. I didn't know how to explain what was happening to my kids because it's not something that's in our face every day. It's not something that we have to go through. I didn't know how to talk about it. And this book just gave me a blueprint. This gave me the thing that I can go, baby, this is what's going on. These people are doing this thing. These people feel this way about it. This is how, I feel about it. Boom, boom, boom. So it gives an opportunity for communication, even on a kid level, on important things. But it's because we're aiming to talk about it at their level. We're not, I with all due respect to Ta-Nehisi Coates, when Black Panther, the movie, came out and you saw these little kids running around in Black Panther costumes, where was the material that would speak to them where they were? Exactly. Coates' run is not for them. That's not for them at all. Mm-hmm. This is something that, I thoroughly appreciate the idea that I can give this to a little kid. I can give this to a grown-up who will have the kid in them, because that's how we wrote the stories. The very first issue, How Far Is Up, the concept is very childlike, right? We have Pep, our resident speedster with the pigtails, right? She wants to figure out how to run into the sky. She's like, look, when I run fast, I can run on water. Well, there's got to be a way for me to do it in the air, right? There's a point where the sky and ground meet. So if I just run fast enough, I just got to figure out how to do that. And that's a very fun, open, imaginative idea, right? Well, then we have one of the two twins in the background, Castor and Pollux. Castor is the more serious one in the blue and gold, and Pollux is the one in the red and gold. And Pollux is talking to Pep and is like, hey, you know what? If you think you can do it, go for it. That's awesome. His brother's like, bro, why did you lie to her? You can't do that. You should tell her that she can't do that. And it's this deeper, more grown-up conversation of, is it okay to support an impossible dream or to anchor them with your reality for what they can accomplish? That's something that I don't expect a lot of kids to pick up on. But when we read that, that's, you're back at grandmama's kitchen table when you say, Mama, I want to rap. And they're like, nah, you can't rap. And you never did it. I want to go to the NFL. Nah, it's too hard to do that. And so you never do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is a reality for a lot of people where they have a dream and, that anchor, somebody puts it on their ankle and it goes, nah, you can't do that. And so they don't, and so we try to address those things.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
That's super powerful.
Yeah.
That is super powerful to be able to reinstitute the idea of having dreams,
Yes.
And being able to fulfill those dreams. That's something that, from a creative standpoint, an innovative standpoint, that is something that we all need. We all need.
Yes.
All of us.
We always kill those dreams for young people at a very young age, talking about what they can't do. But I see how you are talking about the access of what you can do. And giving them the positive affirmations of, being able to go out and do and be who you want to be. That's powerful.
1,000,000%.
And one of the things you mentioned about having adult themes for kids is important because, again, a lot of times when you read comics, I remember reading the comics when I was a kid. We had the Star comics and things like that, Spider Ham or something of that nature.
Hey, I love me some Spider Ham.
I love me some Spider Ham. My very first comic book, dude. My very first comic book was Marvel Tales 206. It had Thor and Spider-Man, but when you opened it to the back, you had a Spider-Ham storyline, and I immediately fell in love with Spider-Man. Right? I still own that book. It looks like garbage, but I still own it, right? But here's the thing about it. My second book was much better, though. It was Incredible Hulk 340, Wolverine's Hulk cover. That's my second comic book.
Nice.
But going back to that, and I remember when those books would come out, they dumbified it. Very simplistic stories. And just the idea of having this, what you were mentioning, that one girl who's trying to figure out how to pretty much generally fly through speed. Right. That is just that's thinking ahead. And yeah, why wouldn't a kid think that way?
Right.
And not being offensive to the kid's mindset. A kid's creativity is bigger than an adult, right? Because we stop being creative after a while. So it's good to know that you're not insulting their intelligence. And that's the best thing about it. When you do kids comic books, the goal is Don't insult their intelligence. Don't
Yeah.
make it seem like they're stupid, because they're not, because you're more stupid for thinking that.
That's true. That's true. No, we actually made a point to not write down to kids. A lot of times, you know, people will see that name KinderGuardians and immediately they'll go, "Oh, this must be for little kids." And it's not, you know, see John run, Jane jumps high. This is conversational comics,
Yeah.
and it's to help, you know, acclimate kids to speaking. This is how we read. This is how we talk. This is how we communicate with each other. In fact, my oldest daughter, she was about first grade or so when we started doing this series, and my job was to read the books to her or get her to read them and make sure she could understand. And as long as she could, I'm like, boom, then this is a solid book. Unfortunately, I had to fire her that year because she got tested that she was reading at a third grade level, and I'm like, well, then no, you're overqualified. I can't have you. She's like, well, I can read lower, and I'm like, nah, we don't do steps backwards. We don't do that. I just have to find someone that's actually a first grade reading level person. But that's what the goal is. We want first grade reading level higher. That's our goal, because we're aiming for communication skills. We want the kids to recognize different personalities and voices of these different characters. Not each character sounds the same. Pep speaks a mile a minute, so all of her words balloons are about to burst because they're full of context and dialogue, because she's the one that gets it out super fast, very rapidly. Electron, the redhead kid, who is the son of a supervillain, which I love the idea of. This is a kid that wants to be good, despite the fact that he comes from bad seeds.
Ooh.
And his language use is big. Like, he's using big words, those, you know, $1.50 syllable words. You know, if you playing Scrabble with this kid, you're gonna lose. But that's the point, right? Because he's smart, and we want to celebrate that intelligence. We want to show that it's cool to be the smart kid. You know, we see it in Tony Stark, but part of the problem with Tony Stark is he's smart, yes, but he's snarky.
Yeah.
Like, he's so arrogant, and that's not a good trait. Let's show somebody that's smart and still humble about it. Like, hey, it's cool. You know, no, you'll figure it out too. I knew the answer, but I'll help you get there. Like, that's the point. That's
It's so funny that you know that we're discussing this, because when I was raised, there was no kid comics and adult comics. It was just comics.
It was just
You know,
comics.
I was raised reading Spider-Man. And, you know, I was a kid reading Spider-Man, and, you know, you were reading the material which was for adults, but at the same time, it wasn't what it is now, where it's adult material. It was just adult material, meaning that you had some adult things that would happen, and your vocabulary was definitely adult. You know, because I remember reading Fantastic Four, and I'd be like, the nuclear aspect of and I would pick up these beautiful words from reading Fantastic Four, and I'd be like in the dictionary going, what are they talking about? You know, and I feel like you got the science. This is where we were. We would do comics, and anybody would pick up and read them. You know, then we got to the idea where, well, the comic needs to be for kids, or the comic needs to be for girls, or the comic needs to be for, you know, and I'm like, no, we need to go back to when the comic was a comic that anybody could pick up and read. Come on.
Yeah, because at the same time, it's like I remember reading somewhere, or someone saying that, you know, in every comic book you read, it's somebody's first comic, and you have to treat it like that, right? You have to treat it like that, and if you don't treat it like that, that means you got to get people, even if it's like the fifth part of a 12-part story, you got to give them at least some small recap to get to that point. But at the same time, as you said, a lot of these comic books in the early age, like we're talking about 60s, 70s, even before that, but we're looking at the 60s, 70s, and even the 80s for that matter, where it was never intended. It was kids' comics. They were always for kids. Comics was originally for kids, right? That's why they were in the newsstands, right? And that's why they had such a cheap price tag, right? 5 cents, 10 cents, 15 cents, 65 cents, 75 cents, because they were meant to be trade-offs to kids to read. And every comic book creator I've interviewed in my shell, and if you go back to my channel, not to plug my channel, Izzyverse, by the way. Plug it. But if you go to every one of my channels and every one of my comic book creators, they've all said the same thing, because I asked them that same question. What got you into comics? They learn how to read from comics. They learn how to, you know, draw because of comics. And it always started at an early age. A story with mom and dad bought them their first comic book. They did it and they ate it up. It's the stories exactly the same way. I love to hear the stories. it's the same story, and I just love to hear
Love
different
that.
point of views of the same story. And that's the same thing for me. That's the same thing with a lot of us, that we started with comics. I learned how to read through comics. I didn't learn how to read through comics. I learned how to draw through comics.
There you go. There you go.
But the reality of it is, we all have that childhood experience
Mhm.
of picking up our first comic book.
There's a magic to it. Like, without question, I was a kid that didn't like to read. Coming up in the late 80s, early 90s, I was about my movies, my animation, video games. I love those features of storytelling. But to give me a book, and part of the problem was contextually, the books that I was given, I didn't care about. I'm a black kid from Columbus, Ohio. You give me Huck Finn, I don't care. I don't care, right? Like, there's nothing about Huck Finn that was immediately like, I want to resonate with this kid. Like, nothing. So contextually, I had nothing that I wanted to read until they announced on the news that Superman's going to die. Now, as a pop culturalist, I know who Superman is. You can't kill Superman. How do you kill Superman? I want to read that. And my mom heard me say it. Where she worked at a local mall. It's called City Center Mall. There was a Lazarus attached to it. On the 5th floor of that Lazarus was a comic shop. So the very next day, she comes home with a stack of books. None of them are Death of Superman. That's not something I fully understood was, the story I was wanting to read, it's going to take some time for that to come out. She just was like, comic books. We've never tried that. Let's go. Brings home a stack. I fall in love.
Mhm.
Fast forward 30 years, here I am. I've got my own self-publishing imprint, making my own books. I've got a first look option deal with AHA Media for all the things that I've published.
Ooh.
And then I go into schools, comic conventions, libraries, and I'm teaching kids, you could do this right now. Like, it's not even something you have to wait till you get older. You can do this right now. I promote, there's a book series called Axe Cop. Are you guys familiar with that one? It had a cartoon series on Fox a couple of years ago.
Right.
When Axe Cop first came out, this is no joke, it was co-written by a 5-year-old. Like, the artist, his name is I'm escaping his name right now, but he was an older sibling to this young kid named Ethan. And when he would go home, Ethan would play with this axe toy, or this police officer with an axe toy, and they would like play around and do all these different things. And he would like just make up these stories. And his brother was so enamored with the stories he was telling. He's like, I got to make this into a comic. And he started into a webcomic. It got popular, got picked up by a publisher. I think it was Dark Horse that picked it up. And it became so popular that it turned into its own cartoon show on Fox. Written by a 5-year-old. Like, you don't have to wait till you're a grown up. You can start doing this right now. You just have to have the tools. That's where I come in. I'm going to show you some stuff. I'm going to give you some tools, context. I'm going to give you all kinds of encouragement and let you know you could do this. Nothing to stop you. Nothing.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful, because that's what we need. And go back to Izzy. Yeah, that's exactly those are the stories. A lot of the people in comics are in comics because they picked up that first comic book. They read it, and either they wanted to draw it, they wanted to write it, they wanted to, and then what would happen is that then you'd have your own imaginations, your own toys.
Oh, yeah,
and
definitely.
you start making your own stories.
I mean, and part of that is what a lot of people go away from when we talk about educating adolescents. We talk about multiple intelligence. Most people are visual learners. So
Yeah.
because they are visual learners, comic book activate that aspect of how they learn. And then as you move up in the grades, you move away to a more abstract way of learning, through textbooks or whatever. So now to be able to take a pictorial representation and being able to activate those mental models, because that's what happens. You develop these mental models. So as you as a youth, something that I did with my son and everything, and then even with the research, like I do workshops, with regards to using comics to teach STEM. You be able to take more complex topics and then break them down and using graphic media to be able to explain that, because now you have multiple entry points, multiple people. I mean, and you could be able to see, you could visualize it. And because you could visualize it, you have a different perspective on it. And now you actually go deeper into the learning, instead of just getting the surface knowledge of it and just kind of learning it for the test and moving on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Listen, I've seen in my own version of research of things. So Naseed, I can't wait for us to get together and compare notes, because I
Oh
think
yeah,
like
definitely.
Yeah,
the
this
things
is
that we've
sounding good. We
discovered,
got to put you on a panel. You
like
guys on
for
a
real.
panel or
No,
something.
No,
things that
because
we've discovered,
the
I think people
education
would be like,
piece is definitely heavy.
right. Well, like, so I've learned that in some medical fields, they're using comic-based visuals to
Mhm.
speak to people who are not communicating the same language.
Yep.
So if you know are not a native English speaker, and I'm trying to get to understand exactly what happened, I'm going to show you a sequence of events, and you
Mhm.
point like you innately understand visually.
Mhm.
Oh, this is what you're asking for, and I'm this one. Oh, okay. So you hurt, you broke your ankle, or this, that, and the other. It's a way to use comics as this communicative language that
Mhm.
we all understand. You know, visually speaking, visual narratives is something that is common on every level, even to the point where my 5-year-old daughter sees a red octagon. She knows that that means stop. That's a visual, language
Yep.
piece. Comics are that same thing. And to
Mhm.
see how people are using it, I love that you're using it for STEM. I love that it's being used in the medical world. Like, we need to just use it more. That's what it's
Yeah,
for.
definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. Just like you mentioned, it's like comics existed before words. It's the only thing it
Yes.
wasn't called comics, right?
Yep.
We had hieroglyphics and things like that where it was visual medium. And when it comes to communication, if it comes to effective communication, the number one form of effective communication is body language, right? So
Yes.
it takes up over 60 to 75% depending on the studies, right? Now, how does that relate to comics? Well, comic books is at first a visual medium. So that therefore,
Mhm.
when the storyteller, when the sequential artist does the story and he does it well, they're
Mhm.
utilizing body language to tell the story. And then you have a writer who comes in after the fact to put in the dialogue to add the words in, right?
Mhm.
Because the words in itself is only about 7% of the medium.
I don't even
So
give it that much.
yeah, no, it's 7%. Studies show it's 7%.
It's
But it's body language, tone of voice, bam, move. Sound effects does
right.
that in comics. So
Yep.
comic books in particular, as a whole, is such a strong use of visual storytelling and, more important, education in a
Mhm.
way. Because again, like I said, a lot of people learn how to read through comic books, and it wasn't
Mhm.
Oh
because they
yeah.
were learning the letters that were there. They were associating the action with the letters,
Right.
and that's what was causing them to identify. People learn different languages through comics. It's insane.
It's true.
So
Mhm.
the fact that we have to still utilize comics to tell these stories. Yes, I agree. The mainstream medium has dropped the ball a bit when it comes to telling stories to the 5-year-old. They seem to forget sometimes that,
Mhm.
you know what, the 5-year-old needs their Spider-Man too, and unfortunately, they're getting it through a movie instead of a comic
Right.
book.
Right.
And I got nothing against the movies. I love them, but they're getting it from a movie rather than the actual source where it came from, the original source, which we
We should
need
get it
more
all.
of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So, obviously with the KinderGuardians, I've taken that bead and recognized that lane is open and created characters for people to latch onto. Obviously in a space and place where diversity is a buzzword, and we hear that all the time. Oh, don't change my character. Don't make them this. Don't make them that. Make your own. I took that to heart. I really wanted a diverse cast of folks here. I've got the twins. I've got, a female speedster. My black character who's currently covered up. I can't believe this is like so positioned right here by the play button. But Horus is my version of Shazam or Black Adam,
Ooh.
using the Egyptian pantheon. His father Osiris was a superhero. And so he is coming into things where, in addition to his training as a godling, he's going to the superhero school to learn how do I function with these other hero types as opposed to just my cultural hero types. So it's really about exploring a sense of identity, who you are, whose you are, and whether or not that has anything to do with the context of what you can or cannot be. Our character Cub, the little ruffian in the front, is our play on Wolverine. And he is this character that when he first joins the team as a promotion from the detention class, he's a bad kid. He's a bad kid that has finagled his way onto the superhero team through good behavior. But once he gets there, he starts going into his bullying ways, and he gets confronted by the team like, hey, that's not what we do. it doesn't have to be like this. And he has to learn, like, hey, if I'm going to be a good guy, I have to be a good guy, and that's part of the fun of what we're doing with this. That's literally just in the first volume. The second volume is where things really take a head, because that's what the Try a Little Kinderness is all about. We're really focusing on the second volume of books. So that's issues 6 through 10. 8, 9, and 10 have never been released. They're only being released through this Kickstarter, through this graphic novel. But by the time we get to 10, we will have introduced over 30 characters in this series. We're aiming for multiple teams, multiple entry points, different multiversal iterations of characters, so that everyone has something that they can love. We even have a bad guy team that we introduce in issue 6, and the fun of that one was epic. It's called No Good Deeds, and the trick is this is a bad team that's trying to do good things. They just don't know how. They decided, like, we always lose as being bad guys. Let's try to be good guys, and let's see what happens. And trouble ensues. It's so much fun to write these, though. Absolutely.
It sounds like it. It sounds like a blast. When I took a look through it, and I love the video that you made.
Thank you.
You guys had fun making it. You can see you had fun making it. It actually gives you the energy of how you two got this book done.
Yes.
And you know what? Let me show it off to you guys.
Sure.
Hopefully my computer will play nice. Let's see.
I'm Victor Dandridge, the hardest working man in comics.
And I'm Justin Castaneda. I'm like pretty good at making comics. I'm average speed.
You're really good at it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Good at it. And we are the co-creators of Wonder Care Presents the KinderGuardians, which we are bringing for the first time to Kickstarter.
Yes, we are bringing the entire series, which includes a remastered version of Volume 1, which includes a new cover for the free comic book day special, as well as introducing a new teacher, Mr. Tree. On top of that, we are introducing a whole new team, actually 2 new teams.
2 new teams, that's right.
In our Volume 2 trade, Try a Little Kinderness.
Yes. Yes, we're going to wrap up this series with a huge bang with one of our biggest adventures yet. And the last 3 issues are previously unreleased. So this will be the first and only way that you can get these stories to round out this epic series.
And on top of getting the entire series as a reward, you can actually get a bunch of additional rewards, such as sketch covers, a limited t-shirt, the What Matters story in a poly bag, as well as vinyl stickers.
We've got all the goodies for you guys. And if you love all ages friendly content, this is the project for you. This is for the kid in you, the kids you know, the kids you want to be, the one that still wears a cape and runs around the kitchen. This is that series. Wonder Care Presents the KinderGuardians. We're coming to Kickstarter, and we're looking for your support. We can't wait.
Yes, and we hope you back the project. Tell your friends about it. We're super excited to wrap up the series. It has been a almost decade-long journey for Victor and I, and we've really improved as storytellers and creators, and we are happy to share this with you. So give us your kindness, and we'll give you our kinderness.
Yes, kinderness for everyone. Try a little. You might like it. You might like it. I'm Victor Dandridge, the hardest working man in comics.
And I'm Justin Castaneda. Yeah, I'm like average, like working.
Black and white edition.
I have a good speed.
A couple outtakes.
Is right. We are bringing.
Dude, man, the outtakes like sold me. I was like, oh, I gotta get this thing.
Which contains
That's what we do.
You were so good.
That was
That's
just
how we do
great,
it, man.
bro.
If you're not having fun, what's the point? So we wanted to include the outtakes in that because it's part of the whole game. It's part of the whole fun. And as you can see, we're at 74% funding. Naseed, thank you again for being a part of that. Ralph, thank you, of course.
course.
Thanks to everyone that is already backed this campaign. Izzy, no pressure. No
Oh
pressure.
no, I already did it, dude. You already got me.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, you got me already, man. Don't worry. And I went ahead and I put it. I'm in the chat on my other screen. That's where you're constantly looking. I put the link. I put the link for it. I'll get the link for Naseem's as well in there.
Thank you.
So we'll definitely share the wealth, and I'll go ahead and for both of you guys, I'm gonna be plugging you guys off in my channels too, because I think both of you, both Naseem, both Victor, what matters is what you're doing, right? You had the sweater that said "You matters," right? And it's absolutely true, man. Comic books matters, right?
Yes.
Let's make that a thing.
Yes. It's so
and
true.
Dude, man, the passion, Vic, you have for this project, it's so like you see it, and that's energy, that just adds to everybody. I'm like, dude, yeah, let's go, let's do this. I want to get these books. I want to see them. I want to see what's going.
Dude, thank you. No, it's easy when you love this as much as we do, and I found the perfect partner in comics with Justin. He's taken such ownership of these characters, even telling stories online. We have a Tumblr, wondercareafterschool.tumblr.com, where he started doing like cartoon strips. Cool. And they were like kind of offshoots, because it's funny. In the first issue, I started putting together these mock joke strips, and he thought that they were hilarious. So he started doing them, and then we started using them as like lead-ins to the next issue. So we would do like a strip that kind of was like a previously, on sort of setup that would lead into the next issue. And just having somebody that is so dedicated to these characters and wanting to push and make these stories as great as possible has been phenomenal. Again, like as you can see in this first volume, we have issues 1 through 5 plus the free comic book day issue, as well as some of the strips from the Wondercare After School series. So we're making sure that you get your money's worth. If you check out the campaign page, you actually can read issue 1 for free just by going to the page. Like we're so sure you're gonna love this. We'll give you some books for free. That is not even a problem. Like that's easy peasy, because we know you're gonna love it. And we know that like once you get started, you'll want the rest that are exclusives to this entire campaign. So it's going to be a great time. We absolutely adore this.
Oh, you can feel the energy. Like I said, I've never seen an outtake in a Kickstarter. So as soon as I got to it, I was like, what's this? And you guys had this natural flow. The jokes weren't even mean. They weren't anything.
Of course.
Just having fun, man.
Yes,
you don't see that anymore, man.
A lot of times people are about the business, and I'm about the business too, but the business of being fun in comics. That's the job.
And that's
if we don't enjoy it, how do you enjoy it?
So serious.
Right. No Joker faces.
There you go.
This is just fantastic, man. I like the art. It just fits very well.
Yeah, the art has that aesthetic. Obviously, it has that aesthetic that's made for kids, but it still is sophisticated enough that it's not cheap. It doesn't feel cheap. The color scheme works. It's bright and vibrant. Yeah. So it's a lot of good use of color, good storytelling ability, good characterizations, right? Yeah. Sometimes when you see teen books, sometimes they have the tendency of drawing them the same way.
Right.
And you could tell that each person is a character to themselves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's something that I immediately noticed when I was looking through it earlier this afternoon.
Without any pause, that's all Justin. Like when we first started putting this together was like the height of when Scotty Young first started doing his Marvel babies. And so immediately that was the thing to do. And Justin was like, "No, we want to build this so that with a sense of animation," because Justin has a background in studies of animation. So he's like, each character needs to have a distinctive silhouette. And I'm like, okay,
yeah,
I like that. I like that. And so that's what he built. And he took it. I mean, because like literally, like looking at my, little sketches, like they do all look the same. Like that's, but I'm the writer. I'm not necessarily bringing the visual, things to the table like Justin does. And he killed it. That right there, that's a sneak peek of the new team, the Galaxy Cadets first grade that are going to premiere.
I love that Electro kid. It immediately make me think of Electro.
Yes. Listen, that's Starlight. She is fantastic, leader of the group. This is essentially our Guardians of the Galaxy. A little bit older, a little bit bolder. As you can see with the reference, this is a big shout out to Giant Size X-Men #1.
I was gonna say,
as
man,
a cover reference.
I saw that.
I like the homage here. I'm like, ooh.
Come on, man, that's what we do. That's what we do.
But you know what? Unlike some other homages that I see, it
Yeah.
does still have its own design element to it.
definitely.
So it's
Thank you.
not a one for one homage, right?
Yeah.
So you know, I love
has its own
McFarlane,
feel.
but I've seen everybody draw McFarlane over and over these days.
Right.
This one is
Everybody's on
it does looks like Giant Size X-Men. I could definitely tell by the rip page and the characters in the background, but it's not a one for one. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
I think
its own feel,
issue 10's
definitely.
cover is up there. I'm curious if you guys can figure out where issue 10's reference is coming from. If you
Well, we
scroll
gotta
down a little
see
bit
it
more,
again.
I think, yeah, there it is.
oh, that's Thanos, isn't it?
Man, that's my own heart, baby. That's my
Come on,
own
man.
heart.
Talking
That's
about
what
the
I'm
comic
about.
book. I'm the comic book
Yes.
geek around here, man.
Yes. So we give, loving homage to George Perez. We actually have a couple different covers that we've done throughout the series that are references to different creators. And so in the second volume, we'll have a gallery page that will talk about our covers as well as the covers that inspired them. Because we want to also, give that shout back, right? Like as we're trying to introduce a young audience or new audience to these comics, we want to tell them how long and how great comics have been. We're not the beginning of it being great. We just aim to be a part of it being great.
Right.
So we want to give that reference back. We want to teach. These are some folks that broke down barriers, that did things that you wouldn't imagine.
Yeah.
Constantly I'm hearing kids that don't understand the power that Black Panther wasn't created by Black men. Like that's wild to them, right? And I'm like, no, it was created by 2 Jewish guys. And they're like, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah. Like it wasn't even our voice, but we latched onto something. So that means something to you. You don't have to look a certain way to create something that speaks to a particular audience. You can create something that speaks to anybody if you try hard enough.
Yeah.
And that goes into all the context that we're trying to get across to so many different people of yes, you can. Yes, you can. Without question, if you have the heart, if you have the desire and the drive to get it done, you can do it.
That reminds me of an interview with Stan Lee when he was talking about Spider-Man. He goes, I like Spider-Man because you don't see Spider-Man who's under the mask. It could be anybody under that mask. It could be white, it could be black, it could be anybody under that mask. You don't know. And that's why Spider-Man is so incredible, is because everybody sees themselves as Spider-Man. And I took that to heart because that's exactly the character that I latched on to, because he was going through the stuff I went through in high school. He was going through the stuff I went through as a young adult. He was going through all that stuff was so important because you weren't seeing any of that stuff, and he was a character going through this stuff that I'm going through. And I grew up with Spidey because he was a self-made man. He was an incredible intellect. It was all these things that were had some bits and pieces of me in it, and I was like, oh my god, I can see myself. And a lot of people go, but he was a white kid. I'm like, to me he wasn't.
Nah, he was a dude from Queens. That could be anybody.
From Queens, man. All right, and just going back to what you were talking about the Black characters of the day, like we got introduced to a lot of Black characters in mainstream during the early 70s.
Yeah.
So you had Stan Lee, who co-created Black Panther. Also, we have Falcon, Luke Cage. The one that really stands out to me the most out of all of them really is John Stewart, Green Lantern, created by Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams.
Neil Adams, that's right.
So just the fact that when he showed up, he wasn't your typical jive turkey, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right. He wasn't like that. He was a sophisticated, smart man. And even to the point that he was like, why do I need a mask? I don't need a mask. So he tossed it off. And he went.
You're still going to see that I'm black. I'm not wearing the mask.
I don't need to wear the mask. That right there was those. Yes, they were white men writing comic books, but they were writing comic books with commentary where storytelling came first, unlike certain time today where it's more about commentary rather than storytelling.
Right.
And I'm not going to go into the political aspects of comics today, but
it's not even. I wouldn't even say the politics. It's about the skill set, right? Because let's not forget, and for anyone that this is brand new information for, you're welcome. But the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were created as a commentary on the state of comics at the time. Yeah. The idea was that they were too violent. and specifically picking on Daredevil. And for those people that, you know, like they were literally dogging Frank Miller's Daredevil because it was so violent. And they're like, yo, what happened to comics where it used to be fun? And that's what the Turtles were built off of. Now, the brilliance, of course, is that they were open to different iterations of the Turtles. So there's so many different, you know, versions that don't carry that same heavy weight to them, even though they can play in that arena if they want to. They're very diverse. But that's how it started, as a commentary on the state of comics at the time. I think a lot of people that are doing it now just aren't as good. And that's the problem. You're just not doing it as well. You can comment, do so wisely, but be good at it. If you're not good at it, don't think that, oh, because I'm talking about this thing, that's not going to carry you. Like, that's not good enough. Like, that's just it. So
it's so funny though, because like when I was reading X-Men, and you know, the X-Men were dealing with that whole mutant hate thing. You know, it hit home with me because I'm like,
of course,
this I know this. I've seen this. This feels familiar to me.
That's Tuesday. What do you mean?
Exactly. You're like, oh, mutie this and mutie that, and it struck such a huge chord with me when I was reading the X-Men, and that's why it bugs me out when some people would say, well, they didn't have those social commentaries back then. I'm like, what the freak? What books were you reading?
What are you talking about?
It was there. It was there, but it wasn't.
Right there.
It was there, but it wasn't smack in your face in a certain way that we're trying to convince you this. It was more on the line. It was part of the storytelling aspect, and I think it was done and with what you were saying, Victor, it was done in a very wise approach, but it still had the element of a comic book and the beats that a comic book would normally have. So it will still have
about the story. Yeah,
it was storytelling with commentary. That's why I call it as opposed to commentary in storytelling. So go ahead, Victor.
And the thing is though, is that that's definitely true for concepts like the X-Men, but and I give Kirby and Joe Simon their credit. Captain America started off as almost purely commentary, right? Like from the cover, like, and this is the thing where history has proven, you know, people right and things like that. But like Captain America #1 came out in March of 1941 that featured Captain America punching Hitler, who was a foreign head of state at the time, and we weren't involved in the war officially. We didn't officially get into the war until December of that year. So we literally have produced we produced a comic book featuring a character draped in the American flag punching a foreign head of state when we weren't officially at war. That was a huge commentary. What's funny though, of course, in the way of history, people don't think like, oh well, yeah, of course Cap punched Hitler. That was controversial at the time. Like that was wildly controversial. There were American Nazis that came to Marvel Studios, or it wasn't Marvel Studios at the time. What was it? Atlas? I think
it was Timely
or something like that.
Timely. Yeah. And they were like, yeah, Jack, come downstairs. And Jack Kirby, being Jack Kirby, rolled up his sleeves and went downstairs and was like, what are we going to do about it then? Like, listen, I'm from New York, baby. Right, you don't talk to me like that if you don't want that action. And again, but this was a story that was told phenomenally well, going back to the point. It had the commentary first, but he had the chops to back it up. The story had the chops to back it up.
More about the story. Yeah.
It was all about that. And that's the thing. Like you can have a message, you can have a point, tell your story though. Absolutely tell the story. I'm sorry, I get passionate talking about the history of comics.
Oh no, and you're absolutely right. It goes back to that concept that I said. It's like the story is what does it. You know, we go back to Stan, we go back to Neil Adams. What they set apart with those drug stories, right? They were told they couldn't do the drug stories.
Wow.
They had to do it. They had to speak up about it, and they did it in a very wise approach, where it still felt like a comic book. It still felt like, but it didn't feel, dare I say, it didn't feel preachy.
No.
Right.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and that's, I say it all the time. That's part of the problem that's going on in mainstream today. It's trying to be too preachy. Stop trying to tell me how should what side I should pick. Why don't you just tell me a story that I want to see? And again, another reason why manga is taking over in the way it is, because it's not doing that in the same way. Manga's taking a lot of the same tropes that existed in the early 60s, really the 60s and 70s, when comic books became a little more sophisticated. Before that time frame, you had the whole seductive of the innocents, and let's not even go about that story. We've heard it a billion times, right? But that comic books just had to get stupid. That's really what ended up happening, right? But when the 60s, when these guys came in, when Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, Neil Adams, Denny O'Neil, all these guys, and I'm forgetting a few of them, right? When all these guys came into the picture, they were adults. Chris Claremont in the 80s, who were telling stories. They were telling stories that were, yes, originally targeted for kids, but good enough for adults to read. Right? Here, it's now like it's adult trying to write for kids. Right? So it is weird how things have changed and pretty much flipped, unfortunately, in the bad side of things. But going back to the KinderGuardians, Guardians in this case, it's
here's
nice
the funny thing.
The nice thing
I
about
left on the screen over here, right? And it's exactly what we're talking about. Any bunny can be it. Some bunny must be it, but no bunny wants to be it.
And it's the hair-raising conclusion to the best.
Exactly.
Listen, I get to use all my dad
Making
jokes.
a perfect connection with it.
Thank you.
It's look how simple that is, but at the same time, it's speaking volumes.
Thank you. We tried, man. We had such fun putting this whole series together. This particular end, I actually just finished the script yesterday. So Justin is halfway through. He's got, I think, another maybe a little bit less than halfway. I think he's got like another 12 pages to do, and we'll be done with this one. But it's been a glorious experience to come full circle, to start so long ago, where I just had this concept for this stories, and to see what we've built out of this has been amazing. We've got some big news. I've actually got a press release that I got to write up tonight and send over for review. We're going to make a big announcement soon, and we can't wait. We cannot wait. People that are wanting to support this, especially the speculative market. If you're a part of the spec market, you're gonna want to be a part of this. So definitely, we got some big stuff coming. Big stuff coming.
That's always what you want to hear, especially when you're looking at a Kickstarter. Especially when we all know that sometimes things will come out extra in Kickstarters, and you'll get an extra little something. One of the greatest things about supporting Kickstarters is that you get something that the rest of the market is not going to get.
It's true. It's true.
Most likely, when you support that Kickstarter, you're going to get the book in a way that you're not going to get it if you do it any other way. If you buy it off the newsstand, if you buy it off of, you're not going to get it like that, because here in the Kickstarter, you'll get something that's unique to the Kickstarter.
Yep.
I specifically will claim that for the What Matters poly bag. Again, coming off of the death of Superman, which celebrates its 30th anniversary this year. That's exactly what that is. So we're going to have a sealed poly bag version of What Matters that's going to have a couple of goodies in it to tempt you to open it. We're going to tempt you to open it. But if you can hold on to it and not open it, that is a Kickstarter exclusive. We will not make any more of those. So that's
why I always get two.
My man, that's what I'm talking about.
I got my Death of Superman sealed and unsealed.
Victor said, well, he's saying victory, but
get two. You gotta get two. You need to. That's real. Oh my god, I love it.
And I love my man Art Baldassar in the background. His little comics.
We rock with Art and Franco. They're pals of Justin, because Justin is part of the crew. So like we've got. When it comes to the cosign from other all-age friendly creators, we definitely have that cosign. So, I actually am aiming to get a plug from Art and Franco, as well as Jeff Smith, the creator of Bone, who is from Columbus, where I'm from. So we're trying to get the heavy hitters to cosign what we're doing, just to give it that extra push. We figured we've done this well with just a week of just us, right? So now we're ready to start tagging in some folks that'll bring in some more hitters. And, with just us, we got 80% of what is the largest Kickstarter I've ever done for my imprint. Normally we're only doing like a couple $100 as the goal. And we've been very fortunate to supersede that. This is tiptoeing already to being the highest Kickstarter I've ever had. And it's not even funded yet. So huge opportunity with that one. Once we crack 4,000, it's the highest I've ever done. So I'm super excited. Definitely know that we can do this. Again, with the little plugs and pushes that I've got set up, I think we're going to blow this out of the water, and we might mess around and get a double digit, kind of piece here. I'm gonna put that out there. We might do that because
put it into the universe.
Put it out there. You know what I'm saying?
Gotta do that stretch goal there, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. The stretch goal. Listen, we've got it. We've got a stretch goal.
He had to take the pause for a second.
I did. Okay. I'm not even supposed to say this, but I'm gonna do this. Okay. Exclusive. Justin's gonna be so mad at me. It's fine. One of the stretch goals that I just pitched to him last week was, again, as we're talking about getting kids to read more books, right? So I have this concept, and I played around with this years ago, and it's so funny how you do something and you just tuck it in the back of the brain and you don't use it anymore. So when I would go to Comic Cons, I had what I called press kit cards, and they would be trading cards that would have like the cover of one of my books, and on the back of it would be a write-up about that issue and a QR code so you could download it. I'm bringing that back. When we fund this, we're going to create collector cards that are called Wonder Shares. Nice. And so when you get these versions of these books, you're going to get a series of cards that you can give to other little kids, and they can read the exact same stories you are, and you can trade and collect them as something shareable. It's a little cheaper. It's in a digital space, but it's something collectible for kids. Cool. I'm working on it because my lady, she was like, now are you going to make it a game? And I'm like, what kind of game? She's like, you need to try to figure out a way to make it a Pokemon style game. We're working on that as well. So you will get characters referenced as a game. You'll get the books that you can read and share. We're trying to change the game. We want to make sure that kids are reading comics anywhere and everywhere. If they're pulling out a card out of their wallet and they scan it with their phones, their tablets, whatever, they're reading comics. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to make sure everyone has that.
That's a good idea. I like that.
Thank you. I'm sorry if I put that out there. Somebody's like, I'm going to use that. Go ahead. Use it.
That's a great idea. Dude, that would help out the industry. Forget about that.
Right?
Yeah,
right?
I agree. It's like share the wealth, right?
That's what I'm saying. So imagine you go to a show and you get, a couple 5 cards or whatever. That's 5 different comics that you've just now been introduced to. And the cost of that is nominal, super nominal. So
that is great.
Yes.
I like that. Keep working on it. I want to see it happen. We are at 15 mark here, and our pals Victor is at 3,691. He has 80 backers, 19 days to go. That's a lot of days to go. He is very close to 4,000. He's right there from 5,000. Come on, people, let's make him get there. I'm gonna keep putting this up there so you guys can both projects, putting it up there. Hopefully, we'll get more people interested. We'll get more people knowing.
Absolutely.
And even if you're not supporting it physically, if you can share, I don't think you people understand how
the power
important sharing is.
Share, talk about it, tag someone in it. All of those things help.
Exactly.
If you guys are on the IG, do it as a story. When you do it as a story,
Absolutely.
you could put in a link to the Kickstarter. Just make sure people hit that link, because that's how you get people to go to it. So you're definitely gonna see me doing that, Victor. I do the same thing for Naseem. It's Ralph. You know how I roll, Ralph. I don't put any of my. I draw and I don't even do my own stuff.
That's how the Kickstarter show started. Because we need to showcase these Kickstarters even more.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we definitely do that. We do a monthly series, and Ralph is part of it with Phil Russett. We invite people. I get people that I don't even know to like, I'll go. And we, the last one, we went like almost 2 hours, and we were trying to be shorter.
Yeah, we were trying to be short.
But when you're having good conversations, what happens?
Yeah,
well, what happened here, man? We went all geek. We went all over the place. It was a great conversation.
Absolutely.
That's what we do.
Yeah, we definitely want to keep pushing it, because again, our platform is to help your platform.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for. That's the ultimate goal for us, is to see others succeed. Where we ourselves, we see it as we help build, the next Stan Lee, the next Jack Kirby.
Yes.
And that's important. The next Comic Con, that's out there. It's extremely important to do this kind of stuff. It's extremely important to network, to talk to people, to get the word out. Because again, everybody has the best story, but if it's stuck here and it's not out there, it's how would anybody know? It's,
Exactly.
Right.
It's
And
the
like we
best
like
story.
to say here on Bit and Apple TV, the best way to rise is rise with each other, because we
Oh,
can
yeah.
help
Right.
each other rise to the
Yeah,
top.
that's right.
And that means that everybody gets up there.
And
That's
and
right.
if you're at
Thanks.
Comic-Con International, you'll get an opportunity to meet myself and Vic. Me and
That's
Vic
right.
out there, you know.
There you have it,
It's gonna
guys.
be a good
If
time,
you
man.
are at San Diego Comic-Con, you can find Vic, you can find Naseed, you can find John Ottinger, you can find Phil Russert.
Phil Russert,
all
yeah.
those guys are
Yeah, a
heading
lot of
out
people out
there
there, man.
to like
Love it. Love it.
to live the freaking San Diego dream, because that's what we're all trying to do, is head down to San Diego and be there for at least one San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh yeah.
And
That's
here's
right.
another
That's
thing.
right.
It is Naseed's birthday. So if you want to give Naseed a gift, what's the best gift to give him?
Oh yeah.
Go to the Kickstarter and support
That's right.
this.
Yeah, the best
It's like a
gift that
given
you
gift.
could give.
You're gifted. Come on.
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. Love it. Love it. That's how we do it.
And there you have it. ChemFest is at 6,833. 43 backers, 23 days to go. There's plenty of days to get this thing over and some extra money in the pockets so we can actually fund this incredible con. I don't have enough words for it. It's a blast. It's so many different things, and those are the conventions that we really like. They have the passion ingrained into them, and it's doing more for the community than just being a con.
Right. Right. Without question. Oh, that's awesome.
So, guys, what is your final word here, since we are at the mark?
I would say that word is support. Listen, we've got some amazing things that are happening, from books to events, places, spaces that are being catered and created just for you.
Yeah.
Support them. Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah, I was going to say support too, because you know we need to motivate, we need to aspire that next generation of creators, and for us to be able to do that, we need these platforms to thrive, to be able to do that.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you guys for having us. This was an absolute pleasure.
No,
Both of you guys, we love having you here because it's always a great
Thank you.
conversation.
It's what we're here for. It's what we're
And
here
I'm glad to just be here.
Izzy,
but definitely, we'll definitely talk.
I was flying solo today.
You know what? I told him last week, he was talking to me. We were like, hey, if you could come this week. I was like, I forgot what we were talking about. I was like, I don't know if I could talk about that kind of stuff right now. So let's go to a time where I can come in. So I came in, and I'm so happy I came in for this week. Again, Victor Naseem, I will definitely keep you on tabs. You're going to be hearing from me. I think I already started following both of you on IG, so follow back. We'll definitely talk a little bit more, and enjoy San Diego, man. I hear a lot of good things about San Diego, guys.
Lots of good, lots of fun.
Plans to be local in New York too, or what?
Oh yeah, I'll be at New York Comic Con for sure. Hopefully, I'll be in Jersey in September. We'll figure that out.
Yeah. We're gonna work that out. We're gonna work that out. And I'm already in Jersey, so I'm right across the river. I could skip a couple of rocks over there, and I'll be right there.
There you go.
There we go.
We're through the bridges. We gotta take some bridges.
I've been looking forward to meeting Vic, so this will be the perfect time. Either I'll see him, maybe most likely both places, and then it'll be fantastic.
Ralph and myself, we're still working our way to get to New York, so we'll get there. We always find our way, but we'll get there.
You go. One way or another. You know us New Yorkers, we hustle.
Hustle.
We'll be there. We're always there. So
I love it. Well,
there you have it, folks. This has been Apple Bites. I hope that you like this bite of an apple we took for you, and that you support these fabulous men over here on the side, creating stuff for the future, not just for themselves, but for themselves as well, because as creators, we got to get what's in here out. And next week on Monday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, we'll have Apple Bites, and of course this Wednesday we'll be talking to John Ottinger with his dwarves as he gets ready. I think we're going to be going live from the convention floor on Wednesday with John as he's doing his things for his dwarves and having so much fun. This is just a week to get ready for San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Gonna be there.
This
In
is
the
the first
building.
one. This is the
Love
first
it.
big one since the pandemic. So
Oh yeah.
there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff already in the zeitgeist with San Diego. So
Believe it.
yeah,
Vic,
Get
I don't know if
ready.
you got your COVID test yet, but make sure you
Oh,
get
please believe it. I'm boosted, COVID tested. I got a
You're gonna be
home
rocking
kit.
multiple stickers.
Listen. I'm gonna do a COVID test while I'm in line. I'll be out there like, y'all see
think
this,
I'm
right?
good.
Y'all see this? Like I just did this. Stop playing. You see me? Give me my
Let me
pass.
go.
let me
San
in.
Diego, man.
Yeah, let me in. I'm here. I
You'll be
am
sucking
here.
up with
Bust
the
it through the
Q-tips right
door.
in your nose. Be like,
Right.
it's
I'm
still
two of
testing.
them. I'm still testing,
test.
baby. I'm still testing. What's
It's like, didn't you just test before? Yeah, this is the new one. This is a 1 hour test everywhere.
It's the new test. Okay.
Yep.
There you have it, folks. If you are in San Diego, check these guys out. Find them on the floors because they're gonna be roaming around. Talk to them. They have some great stuff to say. Hey, you get a chance to meet with people in person and talk about
Yes.
and of course we haven't even
advantage.
touched the surface with Naseed. He will be here again. He will talk about all his stuff, the ChemFest, and his own book that he has.
Yes.
What is it?
PB Soldiers.
There we go.
PB Soldier, PB Soldier.
PB
But I
Soldier.
also
There we
had
go.
the newest, the latest, and the greatest Jason, the rose that grew from the concrete. That's gonna be coming out.
Right.
Yeah, that's gonna be coming out. So
See, we're all creators
we're
here.
excited. We're excited,
Love
man. We're definitely excited. But right now, it's about these Kickstarters. So make sure you come out there. You go support
There it
these
is.
Kickstarters right there.
Absolutely.
There you have it, folks. Join us next time where maybe we'll get some stuff from San Diego Comic-Con. Who knows? We'll see.
All right.
Adios, Phil.
All right,
See ya.
guys. Bye.
Take care.